Hello. A number of times I may have mentioned that less is more, and it's okay to be simple. For example, here is a shot, and it's it's a split rail, cedar strip split rail fence, and in the midst of that fence is one nail. One lonely nail that should probably be in farther, and it's not in farther. But it caught my eye. So there it is, this one rusty old nail that is, I don't know, an inch or so. It's hard to tell. And really, the only part of this picture that's in focus is the nail and a tiny, tiny, tiny little bit of the fence. And everything before it is blurry, and everything after it is blurry. But there is the strong nail that holds the fence together, which has probably held this fence together for, well, I don't know, looking at its rust and patina and all, maybe it's been there for 50 years. Maybe it used to be snug and maybe somebody leaned on it and it pulled out, or who knows the story behind the rusty nail. I don't know, but it caught my eye. And in a lot of contests and other things, they usually have, what do they call them? Excuse me. Macro entries and close-ups and wood, and, you know, who knows, they usually throw out a word and the photographers go wild on it. So here is a nail. That is what the picture really is of a nail. And funny, I haven't found it yet, but one of my favorite pictures is of a tire. And when I just say, oh yeah, I took a picture of a tire, it's really good, people just look at me like, he's crazy. How could a tire look interesting? How could a tire look good? How could a tire be anything more than, you know, oh, there's a tire. But when you see the tire picture, you will understand. I would not say that this nail picture is nearly as good. This is not, you know, like one of my absolute all-time great favorite pictures, although I do like it. I like the way the fence sort of goes off into oblivion and it's out of focus. Most everything is out of focus in this picture. Sometimes the best pictures are mostly out of focus. Not blurry, but out of focus. There's a difference. But the nail, well, it's got rust, it's got patina, it's kind of lit from the top, not from the bottom. Shows a little contrast there. The fence where it is in focus shows great age, and those lines near the top are interesting. So anyway, here is a picture of a nail and an old cedar strip fence. And I believe I probably entered this into some contest or competition, and it probably did all right. But once again, I do care what others think, and I like people to say what they think and critique things. But I guess I've been doing this long enough that it's not going to drastically change what I do because someone makes a comment. But once again, I am always and forever learning. For example, on this process of figuring out how to shoot this video, which I'm shooting off of an iPad, and have the picture look as good and as close to the original, it takes a little, well, getting used to and learning. And I think I have this set up well, I think. It certainly looks good in the viewfinder. I've had trouble with things being too bright and too dark, But I think this is pretty close, but it won't be until I upload it that I really see, did this work out well? So going back to when I shot this, this I think was the second rail, so it wasn't right at the top of the fence, it would have been one down. And certainly, I would have pretty much placed the camera right up close to the fence, or pretty close to it, to get that. And I would have used on the Sony R1, there's a magical, glorious thing, and that is the focus point. You can move around. So when I would have shot this, I would have, picked the frame and been happy with the frame, but I would have moved that little square to exactly where I wanted it, and that was probably right below the head of the nail. And the nice thing about this is, because it's horrible when you shoot something and it ends up, the camera thinks the focus or the focal point is somewhere else, and you say, oh, that could have been better. But when you take that little square in the R1 and you put it right where you want it and you press the button halfway down, if that little green square comes on, you know that that thing, wherever it is you're aiming on, is in focus. There is no doubt. Now this is pretty close to the middle of the picture, so it might have worked out anyway. But I have no doubt that I used the little green square to ensure that it was just perfect. I am sure. So, no, I wouldn't have had to get on my hands and knees. The R1 has a great viewfinder. Not just the viewfinder. It has a little screen, and so you can actually look right down straight at the camera and say, oh yeah, there it is. So I'm sure I was standing, and I'm sure I had the camera pretty much right up against the fence. Maybe not right up against, but I would have used the little green square, and I probably shot more than one, and moved a little here and a little there and a little, but I did like how I could pretty much have the fence going off into oblivion. And the green at the bottom, I suppose, I think if I'd been able to, I would have tried to get away from that. But obviously I couldn't, so I didn't. There are always compromises to be made. There are. So there it is. I picked a frame, I focused on the nail, tried to make the fence look like it went off forever and ever and ever, and I shot it. And I'm quite pleased with it. And once again, it's all about training your eye and trusting your eye. And once again, sometimes less is more. And there's not much more to be said than that. Thank you for coming. Bye for now.